So this challenge is called RFC 9309. It's by John Hammond as well as the Warmups category. And it says, sorry, you know every CTF has to have it. And when we head on over to the private IP address, we can see what we have to work with. And it looks like a standard robots exclusion protocol page, which is also RFC 9309. It's essentially stating what the robots.txt does on every single server that is on the web. So if you don't know what robots.txt is, it essentially allows the crawlers, so for instance Google, to check what is allowed and disallowed on the search engine. So if you don't want the administrator dashboard, people sometimes put it as disallowed /admin, and that'll prevent the crawler from going to the /admin and starting to crawl all those pages, which can lead to some data leakage. So because this specific procedure always talks about and only talks about really robots.txt, we can assume that we have to go over to robots.txt and see what is going on. So let's head on over to robots.txt, and we can see here that disallow is / and the user agent is a star. But if you see here on the right hand side, we can see that this is a very long robots.txt. So if we start scrolling down just a little bit, we'll eventually stumble upon some text, which is going to be the flag, which is right here. The next one is QRception. Wow, that's a big QR code. I wonder what it says, and we can simply download the file over here. So I'll download this file. We'll head back on to our terminal, and I just did this video. So we'll just make dir, and then we'll just call it QR, and we'll move over this QR code to this specific directory. Now, this is going to be the same QR code. So if we do xdg open on the QRception, we could see what exactly is going on. So here we see it's just a huge QR code that looks to have just a bunch of mini QR codes inside, and we could try to find a QR code scanner that does this specific QR code. So heading on over to Google, we could just type in something along the lines of QR code reader and see if anything shows up. And it says scanqrcode.org. So let's try this one, and we will upload this image over to our application. So let's head on over to the HuntressCTF, and then let's scroll down a little bit over to the QR, and then copy over the PNG. And from there, we can see that there's just a bunch of stuff here. It looks like a lot of blocked out text. So we'll copy it over, and we'll actually head on over to VS Code to beautify it a little bit. So let's paste it on in, and we can see that it is another QR code. So we can simply take a screenshot of this back to this QR code scanner and see what it shows. So let me quickly do that. So now that we have the mini QR code here, we could just come over to the drag and drop and paste it on in. And we could see here that the flag is within this QR code. So it was essentially embedding a QR code into a bigger QR code, but using this scanner, we were able to retrieve the flag. So the next challenge says just a little bit, and it says if just a little bit were to go missing, would it really even matter? And we could try to see if this is binary, but as we can see here in just a second, it will not be binary, and it's going to actually be something a little bit different. But we'll try it anyway. So we'll paste it on in, and then we'll come over here and type in binary, and then we could try from binary to see what happens, and it's just a bunch of gibberish. So something that occurs whenever you have something like this and it doesn't recognize, let's say binary, or if it doesn't recognize anything that you put at it within CyberChef, you could head on over to decode.fr and then try to do cipher identifier. And here we're just going to paste on in this specific, what looks to be binary, to see what it is. And it says here it does believe it to be ASCII code. So we can click on it, and we could just try to decipher it this way. So we'll come back, and we can see here that that is how you retrieve the flag. So here we have spam test, and it says time to do some careful Googling. What's the MD5 hash of the generic test for unsolicited bulk email or GTube string? Submit the hash wrapped in the flag parameter. So as long as you Google this up, we could probably just quickly retrieve it. So let's quickly just Google this and just do MD5 hash. And here we could see that we do retrieve the MD5 hash right over here inside of the AI, but you can also find it on Wikipedia as well. So this one is cover all your bases, and it says, can you make sense of all the different data below? Each one has a different representation. So we can go and start doing each one individually. So this by default looks like binary. So we'll copy it on over, and we'll head on over to CyberChef, and we will do a from binary to see what happens. So we'll come over to search and type in binary, click on from binary, and we can see here that we do retrieve that flag, and this is base 2, which is again binary. So let's head on over back to HuntressCTF and work our way down. This one we can try stuff like this, looks maybe like decimal or octal. So we'll come back over here, we'll paste it on in, and we'll remove the from binary, and we'll see what there is. So we'll quickly click recipe delete, and we'll try a few things. So let's try first octal and see if that is is it. So from octal, we'll click on it and we could see here that this is base 8 or octal, and it uses digits 0 through 7, and it often shows up in file permissions on Linux with, again, the flag over here. Heading back over, let's continue down the line, and this is most likely going to be decimal then. So we'll come back over, we'll paste it on in, get rid of this, and we'll come over to here, type in decimal, and from decimal, we can see here that this is base 10, our everyday decimal system. The next one looks like some hexadecimal just because it looks like it's 0 through 9 as well as A through F. We don't see any other characters in here, so that just suspects a hexadecimal format. Let's head back on over to CyberChef, and again, we're going to do basically the exact same thing as before. We'll just type in hex. From hex, and we can see here this is base 16, and it uses again 0 through 9, A through F, with the prefix of 0x, or it could have the prefix of 0x for that matter. Uppercase letters and digits in long stream. Notice anything about padding. Whenever you see a padding that's more than 2, most of the time you're going to be looking at base 32. So let's see if that is correct and paste it on in. We'll again remove everything here, and we will go over to base, and we'll start doing not 2, we'll do a from base 32, and we could see it is used with the Google Authenticator keys, and it has A through Z and 2 through 7. It uses a lot of uppercase letters and digits. Think base 32, and here is the flag over here. Let's continue down to see what else there is. A mixed with symbols. What is this supposed to be? So because again, this challenge is around cover all the bases, chances are we're going to be looking at a bunch of different kinds of base encodings. So we could try base 45 and see if that works. And it looks like it does for base 45, and it says used in QR codes for the EU digital COVID certificates. Uses a mixture of letters, digits, and symbols, and it looks quirky, but decodes cleanly. Have a flag, and here we go. Here is our flag. So let's continue down the line. Compact and comment on the wire. Does the ending give you a clue? And whenever you see the ending with 2 equal signs, chances are it's going to be a base 64 string. So again, we'll just quickly remove this and do a from base 64. And here we could see that it says look for A through Z, so uppercase, lowercase, as well as 0 through 9 plus and a slash, and that's going to be the base 64. So here is the flag for that specific challenge. It says this variant often shows special markers, say anything bracketing the data. So we see here inside of the data, we have a less than and greater than at the bottom here. So this may be base 45 if I'm not mistaken, but I guess we'll try it out. So we'll do a from, and then we'll try to do base 45, and it doesn't look like that is the correct one. So let's quickly delete it and try a different one. Let's try base 85, and it looks like that is it. And this uses Adobe, and ASCII 85 variant usually starts with the less than with a squiggly, as well as a squiggly and a greater than. The RFC 1924 variant uses a broader alphabet, but we did decode the flag and we can move on. So the last one we see here is the data below looks super weird. Don't panic if your editor can't render every symbol. Can you tell me what it is? And here we see it's just a bunch of random string that we have no idea what it's saying. Now on the CTF specifically, it did take us a while to figure this one out because it's not a standard base encoding. This base encoding is actually called base 65536. We could take a look at what it is and we can go about trying to decode it. So we'll just type in base 65536 decode, and here we can see that there is an online decoding tool. When we paste it on in and we try to decode it, we could see that we do retrieve the flag here. The next challenge is called OFA, and it says 2 factors in this economy, and we have a private IP address. So heading on over, we could see that it is a 1-factor authentication. We could try something as basic as admin to see what happens, and it says that we do need a 1-time code. If we put in 12345, we can click verify, and it says please insert a valid 6-digit code. So let's try 12345 and it says the code does not match 103248. So this has to be the code. If I had to guess, we'll click OK and paste it on in, click verify, and we see here that we do retrieve the flag. The last challenge that we're going to be taking a look at here is called Snooze, and it says don't bug me, I'm sleeping, with a bunch of Z's, and uncover the flag with a Snooze file. Heading on over to our terminal, we could see here that we already downloaded it, and looking through the file, we could see that it says compressed data 16 bits. Copying this over, we could see what exactly that means and how to go about decoding it. So we could say something like what is, and then we'll just paste in that, and it says data compression, which really does not help us all that much. Let's try to look up how to uncompress maybe a file with this type, and we'll paste this on in and see if it shows us anything new. And it says here that we can use the uncompressed command as well as putting a .z at the end, which is a simple Unix compression. So we could try to do that. So let's move this on over to Snooze, and then we'll just change it to snooze.z and see if that works. So we'll do uncompress and then snooze.z. And looking at it, if we do snooze again, we could see that we do retrieve the flag. But I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, please let me know in the comment section down below. In the next video, we're going to be taking a look at maximum sound, which is a little more complex than these standard warm-ups. A lot of people got stuck on that challenge. So I wanted to do a separate video regarding that because it's a pretty cool steganography challenge that I've never done before. But again, if you did enjoy, let me know in the comment section down below, and please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.